2.
Timer is ready.
Righty-ho. Then, here we go. Studio buddies, doing a podcast with a little gay guitar. Hello, and welcome. It gets harder every time. Hello, welcome to Studio Buddies. My name is Simon.
And I am Jamie.
We are both starting now third year fine art students.
It's official.
Yeah, we've actually both entered the third and final year. And this episode, we're going to be discussing original artwork that we both own. So, I was thinking maybe if we both do one each until we...
Yeah.
Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
I think a good question to ask, though, is why do we like to have original pieces?
That is a good question, actually, because I don't display any of the three pieces I'm going to show. I think I'd intend to if I have my own space, which this currently isn't. I'm just kind of here temporarily. So if I were to have a house of my own, I would frame the artwork, and I think it's because I think the tutor actually mentioned it today, that it's sometimes you want to have things that you enjoy that are creative around you, and even if they're not creative, just any kind of objects or items or colours and anything which you like as an environment. I think the original artwork is that, but it's more special because it's not only the image that you're into, it's the original. It's their hand and their work. That's the official thing, which, you know, if anyone's referring to this artwork online, you have this original piece. And it's not to sort of like bragging rights, but it's kind of special for you to know that that is tangible, you know.
Okay, wait, so original is like the first and only, because I have prints and one original piece.
Well, that's interesting. We'll discuss
case.
that. Yeah, we'll go through it, because each of mine are... One is an original because it's an artwork in a book, which is prints. But it's an original that he did whilst I bought this book. The other is specially special and original, and there's nothing more original than what I've got to show you is the special one. And then the one which is special to me is this is an original piece which is not going to be famous necessarily yet, but someday it could be, and it's very sentimentally valuable to me. And as an original, I thought I'd introduce the value of sentimentality regardless of notoriety of the artist. Sometimes you're like, this is their piece. But to have a print of someone's work, I mean, how removed is the print? Is it a limited print, or...?
Yeah, I think one of them was a limited print. I'm not sure about the other one. I haven't checked. But two of them... Wait, no, that one might actually be an original piece. I think I might have one original... No, two original pieces and one print, I think.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, though.
If we were discussing Picasso, if he were alive today, and you said, you know, I've got a print, but I've not got an original, and I would say, these days, if you were to get a print of a Picasso, it'd be very far removed from Picasso. Whereas if you were a living artist and you had a print through his means, that's still valuable and considered... I mean, if you had that these days, a print of a Picasso from his day, directly through his output, you know, he was putting out prints, that's still valuable as an original in a sense. So it depends how removed the print is to an extent.
Well, these two that I'm talking about, they were made, like the prints were made by the artists. But now that I'm seeing one that I will show in due time, suspense. Looking at it, it doesn't look like it's printed. It looks like it is an original. Purely because of the way the ink is on the paper. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. But the second one, I do think might be a print. I'm not sure. I'm not an expert. And here we are.
Do you have any value for originals? You know, if you were to have an original painting or an original drawing by someone, Is that something which you think having the original would be nice as opposed to a print of something?
Yeah, I think it would be nice to have an original art piece, but then like, I don't know, I have this little part of me that's like, I want to keep all of my work.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the same. Go on, carry on, sorry.
Because I made it, and I get to see it, and I'm proud of it, so I know what's going to happen to it, I know how to take care of it. So the idea of me, like, selling my work as originals, like, it would be different if it was commission, because that's commission. But yeah, I don't know, I'm still very on the fence about it because it's mine.
Well, put it this way. I intend at some point to gift you the original of this. And that's because if I give you a print of it, you're not going to have the texture which I can see in person. And I'm going to make a print for myself because it's nice having the envelope and the fact that I just drew it. And I have the memory of when I drew it of you. And I think that's going to be a nice thing. It's like the picture above, which I'll show on the video because it's slightly out of frame, of Georgia, who was in third year when we started first year, I believe. I'm not sure. I was going to give her a print and I've not been able to get one yet. And she's excited about getting a print because she knows that I'm keeping the original because it's one of the better drawings that I've done as a portrait of someone. You know, I've done very few and I think it worked out all right. So she's excited about having the print of that. Whereas to give you that as a print, I don't know, I'll see how good the print works out because I like keeping the original as well because like yourself, I like looking at that. I think that's quite a nice drawing and it's in memory of when I drew it of you. And the fact that we'd be sat together in history and context and there was that little going on that was important because, you know, we were trying to get all of the value out of the teaching and it was mainly vague discussions about just how open art is. And then it was, you know, these are your vague parameters for what we want you to do in this session. Go to it. And we'd kind of go, yeah, we kind of got this, right? So we can just play about and chat and, you know, that's how I ended up doing a drawing of you.
I didn't know that you were planning to gift it to me in the first place. And I don't think I would be offended if it was a print because it was still something that you did. I'd be perfectly happy with a print and I can put it in a nice little frame.
Well, it'd be gifted to you framed. That's what's going to be so special about it, is that it's in an envelope. But it'd be in a frame. And imagine, you know, unwrapping a nice bubble-wrapped parcel for yourself at the right point where it's a gift. But at the moment, I'm not ready to let go of it because I'm very... like yourself, I am, you know, as much as I don't consider my work to be exceptional, I still see a certain level of ability and growth and things that I like in, you know, drawings that I've done. That, if I were to lose it, I'm left with everything else, you know, that I've made, which isn't quite as good. But anyway, without further ado, do you want me to start or do you want to start?
I don't mind.
Yeah. I tell you what, I'll start, okay?
Okay.
I mean, okay. Actually, no, do you mind starting? I'm going to actually pick that you start, and that's for a reason, and I'll make that clear at the end.
So, my first original piece, she doesn't consider herself an artist, but she's my friend, and she does doodles. And this was from a little art task that we did together where we picked a random object in my flat and we drew it to kind of see how we would go about it in different ways, which is this. I don't know if it's in focus, but there will be an image. I'm just going to show something because
excellent.
It's below.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
So it says, to Jammy Chi and Sam, Jammy Chi is my nickname from her, screams in giraffe. It's not a giraffe, but it makes me happy because, you know, it was something that she kind of just threw together and I really like it. I'm not good at doodling and stuff like that. Like I've tried, but I don't know, I really like it because of the way she kind of, you know, just does it without really thinking much about it. So yes, there will be an image because I'm not sure how in focus it is, but there you go. That's my first one.
Yeah, I really like the shape, the frame around the actual skull itself because it's not a square. You know what I mean? It's not like a normal frame around something, to have it jagged a little bit as well is really cool.
Yeah, it was just like a scrap piece of paper. I don't know why it was ripped actually, because like the edges, it's clearly been torn. I don't remember if she did that, but then she wanted double-sided tape and she started just like folding the edges around and just stuck them down, and I've had it ever since. And I'm happy with it because it's an original Tammy.
Yeah.
So when she becomes a big doodle artist, I'm gonna make mega millions. No, it's too sentimental for that. But yeah.
Yeah, there's value in that as well because it's memories, and it's quite a nice, unique piece. Did you have what was the frame around the skull that you gave to her?
I think I did like a square frame, but I did a similar thing with like sticking down the edges, but I did make it like a square, and mine wasn't a doodle like hers. Mine was a pencil drawing, and I think she spent like 5 minutes on this, and I spent like half an hour on mine because I noticed she was finished, and I was like, I'm not done, I'm sorry, and she's like, oh, it's fine. But yeah, she's still got it.
That's great.
Yeah.
My brother does that. He goes out urban sketching with people, and he says they take forever. And he's like, I'm already done.
Yeah.
And he'll get, several sketches. He'll just move around. And there's value in each. There's value in both practices. So it's not as though, someone's doing it wrong and someone else is nailing it. But yeah, excellent. That's really nice. So that's the first piece of original artwork. And that was from what year do you think it'd be?
It was last year.
Was it last year?
Yeah, because this is going to be a deep conversation, but it was the time she came over for my mum's funeral, like when she surprised me, and to take my mind off like all of that, she was like, let's do fun activities. So we did like yoga and stuff, which I still do now, and we did like little art things, it's quite nice.
Yeah. Yeah, really good.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. I mean, I'm going to struggle to date. Actually, I shouldn't do. I don't know. This next piece, which I'm going to show, this piece, which I'm going to show, is a piece of my brother's artwork from university. And he was in art and design. He went to Wrexham and then he went to Preston. So this will be about 15, 20 years ago he did this, I think.
Wow.
So that's an original Gavin Renshaw.
Good old Gav.
Piece on a board, a piece of wood. It's good to be hung and painted in acrylic. Yeah, well, T1, I'm not sure, he hasn't signed it, so I have to get him to sign to add value, but he's got nice roses and splatters and quite pastel colours.
Yeah.
But he still does work which has this kind of shape interruption or interference through more figurative studies, or not studies, sorry, but renderings inside of that to add a geometric crossover, which is a real good, I think it's a Bauhaus influence that he's had. So,
it's nice.
Cool, that, isn't it?
Yeah,
I've actually got quite a lot of these.
It baffles me how he's, I don't know, because for me, like, my subject matter is so different from that. I don't understand how he's done it.
Yeah, there is no subject matter that you can look at for that. He kind of looked at the style of the shapes, I believe, the design of Bauhaus.
Yeah.
And as much as Bauhaus is cool, I think he wanted more and technical and smaller, and therefore it becomes a framework. It has this lovely kind of, way of encapsulating a big scene, which it's just not spelled out to you at all. You can kind of project a lot of what's happening yourself, which makes it quite nice, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my first piece, original artwork.
Now for my next one that isn't actually an original, but here we are. This is how it's run. It's our podcast, not yours. We make the rules here. Actually, I don't know.
As we're going along, we make them up.
Again, I'm not 100% sure with this. No, I think this is a print. But these next two pieces, they're from tattoo artists from one of my local studios, because, when the good old Rona hit, tattoo studios went open, so they had to find a new source of income, which was making art, because they're artists. So they started selling prints and stuff like that. And this is the first one.
Excellent. It might need tilting down. Oh no, it's tilting down maybe slightly.
I think you can.
Can you see it on your camera?
Yeah.
Excellent. I can make out. Yeah, is that a skull upside down? Oh wow. Yeah, that's fantastic, isn't it?
For anyone that's wondering, Simon is like on a different device lower down. We're not going crazy, I swear. But yeah, this is the Hanged Man, which is a tarot card, and I really liked it. And I think she started doing a whole tarot series. It might have been the major arcana and stuff like that. So you know, like the World and those major ones instead of like the Four of Pentacles, because that's tedious. But yeah, I got it because I really like it, and I think it fits in well with a lot of the stuff that I have around my house anyway, because, you know, there's like skulls and stuff just littered around, and I have a fair few tarot decks, and by a fair few I mean like too many.
That's fantastic. What's her name?
Saren Jones. Sorry, I forgot to say. Her name is Saren Jones. On Instagram,
Saren Jones.
It is art by Dobbs. She is... I'm not sure if she's still an apprentice, but she was when she was doing these. But yeah, if you want her Instagram, it's @artbydobbs, I do believe.
Art by Dobbs, I love it.
Yeah.
Excellent. That's a lovely piece as well, framed.
Her nickname is Dobby.
Dobby, like
Yeah.
Peep Show.
No, like Dobby the house elf.
Oh, even predating Peep Show to Dobby the House Elf. Excellent.
Yeah.
Original. Fantastic. Yeah, I love it. All right, well, in a similar direction to more illustrative work, I have this, which is the, I think it's kind of highly censored, partly banned book, Umphalos.
Umphalos. Ooh.
Umphalos, which is a book of erotica by Kim Jong-il. Kim Jong-il being one of the masters of illustration in modern times.
This will be censored, probably, most likely.
Yeah, well, I'll try to. I think that the piece that he did for me, I think you're allowed to show that. And the piece that he did for me is, it's erotic, but at the same time it's not explicit.
Okay.
You know, so the piece in the very first bit, which I'm going to show, is that, which is what he drew.
Oh, wow.
Whilst I was there. And he uses a Pentel brush pen
Yeah.
to do that, and he does it very quickly. I think we have a video of him doing it, and he signed my name on it. I don't know if you can see that he
Yeah.
signed his own name and my name as well. And that was in 2016, which I met him in Leeds. He's lovely, he's really humble, he's really sweet. And he'll look through your artwork.
Cutting out
Just,
again.
this is more just for Jamie, because we won't be able to show this.
Okay.
Is that alright? Am I back?
Yeah, you're back.
No?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry folks, this is my my Wi-Fi is not great. I'm going to try and show Jamie some of this, and some of this will be censored because it's erotica. Yeah, it's a lovely book. Okay, let's get to some drawings. So he's fantastic at figures and forms.
Oh my
You can see
god.
his line drawings of people. He's just phenomenal at placing people in space.
Yeah.
And he'll do and this will be, you know, no underdrawing, no photo reference. He just does things
Seriously?
straight onto the canvas. Yeah, always for absolute, you know, for over a decade he's been doing this, and there's videos of him doing it on walls in China.
Yeah.
And even though he's South Korean, but he's done work all over the world, and I think it might be, no, I'm sure it was China who did one. But yeah, just phenomenal
Oh, wow.
work. You know, so this is a book of his drawings with an erotic theme. So just to flip through, just so you can see some of the pages go colour, splash pages.
Yeah.
But
Oh, wow.
just really nice like spaces around things where you can place things, you know, it just gives you an idea. I've shown it to figurative artists that I know, and they just say he's phenomenal at, you know, anatomy.
Yeah.
He understands how things turn in space, because he's no photo reference for this stuff. He just draws constantly. When he visits people's studios, they say he'll be nice and everything, but as soon as he sits down, he's drawing, and when he talks to you, he'll talk to you whilst he's drawing.
Yeah.
And he never stops. Even if he's in an artist studio, he'll sit there drawing because that's his job. So yeah, he's just a phenomenal illustrator. To watch him is a joy because he's very zen and calm, and will draw any kind of robot or plane or whole scene of all types of things going on. But yeah, and all with a brush pen. So that's a very highly valuable piece of original art, which I'm glad that I own. From Kim Jong-il, a modern day master.
Yeah.
There you go.
Wow.
That's a piece of original. It's why I thought if I go second, because it's going to be unfair to kind of hand over to you, because I'm older than you, So at your age, I did have the last thing that I'm going to show at your age, but that's because I was into this from a young age and I had the opportunity to get originals, which is just not something that you can foresee when you get the opportunity to get originals.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's why I've kind of got things which are like, oh my God, what the hell, but that's... Meeting Kim Jong-il was lucky. I'd come across him online a year before, and then he was coming to the UK. So I was like, right, doesn't matter what's happening in the world, I'm going to see Kim Jong-il. Thankfully it wasn't a pandemic, because if there was a pandemic I wouldn't have gone and seen him, but I did go and see him. I thought there'd be a barrier around him, in like crowds, and he was just there at a desk. And there was a big wall that he was drawing on. He was drawing on a big wall, and then he'd go to a desk and draw on a book.
Oh my gosh.
Amazing. Yeah. So yeah, but he did have his own space because they knew that he needs to have walls to draw on.
Yeah.
Like he's not just selling comics, he'll draw on a whole wall for the day.
That's amazing.
Anyway, sorry about that. Bit of a post-amble there.
It's alright.
Am I cut out again?
Yeah, you're back now.
I'm back.
My next one is by Leigh Nicholas. Also works at my local tattoo studio. He's also tattooed me. It was a pleasant experience. He's a very fun guy. His Instagram is @eggventurer, I do believe, and it's this.
Oh wow, look at that.
Let me see if it's just...
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. Can you see that on your camera? Because it's lovely here.
Yeah.
Colours are fantastic.
Which...
so what's the medium there?
I think it's brush pen.
But is it watercolour that he's doing the colour with? Because it looks
I
almost like
don't
watercolour
know.
'cause it's very light.
Because towards like the bottom, this is why I don't think it's a print.
That's going to be ink. I think that's maybe ink. I think that looks like grey ink because I've got pens that will do that.
Yeah.
I think so, but that's amazing. It looks like grey ink in watercolour for the colour, but... And what's the name, sorry, again, of the person?
Leigh Nicholas.
Leigh Nicholas.
Yeah, he's a very fun guy. He's just, someone that you can have a laugh with. And I saw that he was selling artwork, and me being me, I was like, I need to support my local artists. So I got one. And I like it. My partner thinks that it's a little bit odd that I wanted it because it kind of just came out of the blue, but I'm very impulsive. And yeah, unfortunately it did get bent in the post though, so I'm quite miffed about that, but it adds texture.
Still, I mean, so, yeah, do you kind of know... Oh, okay, can you hear me? Okay, good. Do you know him then as a contact?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Like I said, I've been tattooed by him. He's a good guy.
Oh, fantastic.
And I saw it and I was like, that's sick. I need that. So I got it.
Yeah. Oh, brilliant. Yeah, I love it. That is fantastic. And is it the same with the other tattoo artist? Do you kind of know her as a contact? Does she know you?
We've only really met once. And it was the same day that I was getting tattooed by Leigh. I don't tend to go into that tattoo studio that much because I tend to go to multiple artists just around Wrexham and stuff. But yeah, I only really spoke to her once in passing. But I do intend to go there more because I do want a leg sleeve done by his wife.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah.
Excellent. And like again, supporting local artists, as you said, it's really admirable, and it's a great kind of standard to set for being a young artist, is support your community and your local artists.
Yeah.
That you like.
Well, I saw that they were struggling and stuff, and if I can help, even if it is just by buying a piece of artwork, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, in complete juxtaposition to that moral and ethical way of getting artwork, this is from the other side of the world, and I'll have to blur out the actual. I'll show it to Jamie on the camera.
Oh.
So you'll see my address and the little thing on there. It's an official thing from the company. So I'm going to now go from that massively ethical, think locally, and I kind of instead thought quite globally. And when I was young, one of the pieces of artwork that I have is because of manga video. You'd get little pamphlets like this inside of manga video things where it'd have artwork inside and bits of writing, and it just come free with the videos. And inside of these, I don't know if I still have one, but there'd be tokens at the back basically where you could clip out a token and then send that off to get an original cell from one of the films, and specifically Akira, which is a 1988 Japanese animated film by Katsuhiro Otomo. So what I have is, I just keep on getting these manga videos until I could send off, enough tokens to get an original piece of art. So I just kept doing that.
Yeah.
I didn't, just stick to just one, because if you could do that, I would do it. So that's what I have here. And not only do you have the original cell from the film, but it also has underneath it the drawing, which they painted it from.
Oh, wow.
Which is really special. Now, obviously, Katsuhiro Otomo's hand didn't do this, but much like Michelangelo, I consider it to be Katsuhiro Otomo's original work, because if you ever hear the interview of his studios, they say it's working with him is like a battle against him, because he'll always ask you to do more and faster and bigger and include more things. So it's always a battle to try and, meet his expectations. And basically, in order to kind of meet his expectations, you'd have to just do better, and you'd have to make it look like his work and move really fluidly, and it's what made him a master animator. Someone who I compare to Studio Ghibli, except he doesn't have the body of work that Studio Ghibli does, but just for Akira alone, he did sort of, reach the pinnacle of animation early on, because there wasn't, any animated films which would do that much nighttime background scenes, and Akira relies on a lot of this dark paint, and the backgrounds are quite dark and quite colourful. They're quite colourful and dark, if that makes sense, They're quite deep colours, but it sort of gives this atmosphere to all of the scenes that makes it special. But also having this original work, there is one which I'm missing, and it's because I have it framed somewhere, and it's actually my favourite as well, because it's a two-piece cell where it's two cells overlap each other. But this is, the main characters from the film and the main scenes. I've gone through the film and paused it at exactly the cell that I own. They're even numbered. This is C62. So it's just, it's a time capsule for me. And this is something which I've been pestered about online to sell, which I never will. But it's basically... what was I about to say then? Because of your very local thing, I went to the most successful artist and collected these things, which is not quite so helping out your local artist necessarily, but it is something which I couldn't be more precious over. Sorry about this, I'm now juggling these pages poorly, which I was hoping I could avoid. Let me go to the next one here. A couple more. This is a incredible, scene of milk that becomes deep enough for Tetsuo to drown in a sort of fever dream, mixed with it's a fever dream mixed with sort of what is it, telekinesis kind of battle, an awakening. It's a strange film. And then this is the Colonel.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, it's quite a few. So my original artwork is, it's not been preserved perhaps as it should, but you can see the pencil work and the line work and how Yeah, fantastically drawn
Yeah.
it is. So yeah, and it's even got, I don't know if you can see, but there's bits of blue coloured in. You see bits of blue coloured in there?
Yeah.
So that's the kind of language that they were speaking in, as far as that's what's going to go to the people who then had this acetate cell and would paint it. You know, so just looking at the backs of these to look at the layers of the paint, it's quite interesting. I wish I had a better way to preserve them, but yeah, to look at the backs of the painting is as interesting as the front, you know, that's the front. So yeah, a very highly treasured and cherished piece of original artwork I've got there.
So do they have to work backwards and go with like the outlines and stuff first and then lighter tones and stuff like that?
To paint it on the cell, it sort of is, to the extent that yeah, they'd have to take the drawing there, get the cell on top, and then start to paint whatever's going to be the top layer. So it'd be the light, you know, and the details on his eyes, and then behind that would be the darker shadow, and that's why behind it. Oh, actually, I say that. It actually looks like they've done it exactly opposite. If you look there, it looks like they've gone darker first and then they've gone light. That's interesting. I would have assumed the opposite, but they've obviously gone darker first and then light. But yeah, it's massively valuable. I'd rather have it framed and the drawings separate and preserved, either framed themselves. And there's one other which I do have framed, which, as I said, is a 3-part. I think it's a 3-part cell, where there's the kernel partly covered in this mutation, which I draw a lot of these days, and then there's a bit of a kind of mutant kind of slime thing, which you can kind of even move the cell along to look like part of the animation. And then I've got a black blob of shadow that must be part of the whole form. And that's the thing which I've got framed somewhere, and I just can't find it. It drives me crazy, as you can imagine. As much as I've got loads of these, to be missing one is maddening. You know, sort of say word.
Yeah.
But yeah, hugely valuable. And not only that, I wanted to talk a little bit more about these little booklets that you get in there. This is one for Appleseed, and it was so exciting to have things with maps and information and bits of cartoons and designs and things on to do with the lore of the different characters. You know, you'd have different thumbnails. And it was just massively exciting for me as a young, 15, 16-year-old to get into this. In fact, I would have been younger than that. I would have been 13, 14. But to see things laid out like this was just really cool and exciting, and to see it well drawn. And I don't think things like this exist anymore, where you can have big pull-out adverts on paper. I mean, maybe it does on special box set things, but it's not necessarily part of how you make products anymore, booklets and things.
No, most of it's all just online now, so, which is unfortunate to some extent.
But it does give us the opportunity to have a thought about, if we're doing university stuff and we're trying to look at reframing our work in different contexts, that's basically what we're doing, isn't it? Is a frame of reference in which to put our work. And I kind of didn't do the best job of that really last year, if I'm being honest. And but I think it was, to do with the circumstance and environment. And now, looking at things like this, there's an easy transition from what I was doing to try and make things which, I mean, this is cartoon animation stuff, which is very me. But at the same time, if I'm doing a fine art course, I need to find my voice inside of making maybe things like this that can be part of a fine art, piece, or like integrating things that you're into the work, maybe.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's my final show and tell. It's why I thought maybe I should have the last. Like when we were saying who should go first, I thought it would be unfair for me to go, here's a piece of work by the great Katsuhiro Otomo, who's still alive. He's just, and drawing amazing work these days. And it'd just be unfair to go, and now, what have you got? Because it's just kind of like, I know that this is special. Just like, not many people have this, and I'm always being pestered for this stuff.
I think, I'm not sure if we have it, or if it was a gift to my partner's dad. This is a slight tangent. He very much loves Lord of the Rings, and we went into a charity shop and they had original film It was only about that
Wow.
big, but it was a snippet of original film for Lord of the Rings.
Wow.
We ended up getting it. It only cost like a tenner, absolute nuts, and we gave it to Sam's dad. And I think that is like the closest I've ever come to like your kind of, original stuff. That's as close as I've gotten to it.
That's
far.
exciting though as well to see the original film. I mean, I know someone who was an extra in Lord of the Rings, and that's not. We've got nothing like that as far as anything like film.
Yeah.
Because even knowing someone who was in the background is fun, but it's not something that you've got as an original. It's something exciting about it. Something quite.
Yeah.
I've got a cool story to start today. A funny little tangent. Do you mind if I got a? Yeah.
Go on.
Basically, a guy who I worked for doing art for his comic book that he wrote wanted to get a flat in Rill, and I went with him to go looking at this flat. And he doesn't know much about art, and I don't know much about art, but I know a bit about graffiti and a bit about comics and a bit about animation. And this flat which we wanted to go and view in Rill, the letting agent took us in and said, "Oh, this is actually this flat's kind of special because it's got an original Banksy." And I was just like, "Oh, really?" And he was like, "Here, I'll show you." And we walk through, and there's this painting of a like silhouetted little girl holding onto a balloon, and the balloon's red. The girl's in all black.
Yeah.
It's been painted on in acrylic. And I was just like, that's not a Banksy, mate. He was like, "Yeah, it is." And I was like, "No, it isn't." He was like, "Isn't it?" And I was like, "No, Banksy doesn't paint like this. Banksy doesn't do acrylic painting characters on walls. Banksy does spray paint and a stencil. Google Banksy. He has a stencil. He sprays it. He gets off. All the work goes into how do you cut a character into a little cutout so you can put it up, spray it up. It's got the message in the kind of dynamic pose of what you're trying to get across." And yeah, it was just a copy of, I think it was his work in Palestine. I think he's done a few things in Palestine, but there was a little girl and balloons going over the wall, the West Bank.
I think I know which one you're on about, yeah.
And he tried to pass that off as a Banksy and was saying it was special. And I was like, yeah. Not only is that not a Banksy and not special, it's kind of, it's sweet, it's a good, I can see that what it's trying to do, but it's certainly a million miles away from Banksy. And this street in Rill is not a place that's suitable for this young man who was hiring me at the time as an artist. And I was like, it was kind of a rough street in the area. And I was like, he could do with not living here, and that is not a piece of original art. It was just funny to be able to call someone out who is letting agents are pretty cocky, and I'm obviously quite cocky myself to go no, mate, no, it is not. I'd love to hear you tell me how you can verify a Banksy from that, So.
Oh my god.
I'm not a Banksy expert. I mean, I don't dislike his work, but he's not someone who I tell you he's great, because some people are well into it, and I don't disagree with. He's got things that really work well, but he's just not personally someone that I'm really massively seeking out. And even I know how Banksy works. And it's like, that's not a Banksy, dude.
I mean, I'm pretty sure the majority of people that's even heard of Banksy know that he's a graffiti artist.
Yeah, to sort of see him do acrylic on a wall in Rill is, and you're in a flat, in Rill, it's sort of.
In Rill.
Yeah, it's like, I know that he tries to subvert the values of art, but I don't think he's stooping to the layer of, let me just, downgrade my abilities a good 50 years, because it's.
God, no.
It's just like, he wouldn't paint like that. But I mean, yeah.
No.
Anyway. I don't think there's any other thing which I can think of where someone's tried to pass off originals where I've just known it's not original. Outside of maybe Tunisia, when I went to Tunisia when I was young, and I learnt that you have to haggle at the marketplaces, which was really fun as a little, 10-year-old or whatever I was to sort of learn that you've got this dinar, which is like these big coins that look like our £2 coin, or whatever it looked like,
Yeah.
And it's kind of, you could pay a dinar for this picture, but to be honest, you'd probably take 500 or 300 centimos for it, because it's not worth a dinar. You just don't know how much the currency is worth. So I might be pronouncing dinar wrong. It's a memory from when I was young, and I've not heard anyone pronounce it like that since. But it was fun, and they were really nice guys as well. You could see them haggling; they were dead sweet. And I got some kind of prints. I think these days they're all. I've got one over there. I'm planning on painting over it, because it's just. it's not worth it. It's like Egyptian artwork, and I know that Tunisia and Egypt are like, you know, they're all North Africa kind of thing, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's not actually. It's just literally saying this sells to tourists. So I'd rather use the papyrus that it's on. It's even fake papyrus basically, but it's still more interesting than what I've got otherwise.
Oh god.
I'd rather paint over that so that I've got something interesting as a surface, you know. So I might do that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I don't think I've got any forgery of originals.
I don't think I have any more original art.
No.
But here's a question: if there was one artist, just one, you have to just pick one, where you could have one of their originals, who would it be?
Can I have a think about it? Do you have an answer for that? I think.
I feel like you could probably guess my answer.
Yeah, no, I think you'd want Vincent van Gogh.
I would. That is my dream, to have a Van Gogh original.
Yeah, it would be great. Which piece do you like? Is there a specific?
To be honest, I don't know, because I like the majority of them anyway, because I just look at them and I'm like, oh my god.
I need to send you the Simon Sharma video on Van Gogh, because of that video, I'd probably want, I think it's called Crows Over Wheatfield, I think it's called. Incredible, where the path's kind of, it's gone green, the path, so it sort of suggests that it's either moss or it could be something else, and the path splits off, it's been flattened. The field is just unbelievable application of paint. And the crows, you don't know if they're flying towards you or away from you, but they're just really nice and dark against a dark, you know, evening sky. Beautifully done.
Yeah. I don't know.
I must admit, I'm struggling to think of, if you say, you know, which artist and you have to pick one, I would struggle because as far as the work that I love, I don't always know the name of it. And the one which I think has struck me in the UK, which I've seen, it's, I don't know if you've been to the Lady Lever Gallery. Have you ever been to that gallery? It's,
no.
It's in Liverpool, or maybe it's not Liverpool, maybe it's St Helens. Nice big gallery. And it's actually part of an artist's community that was built. The whole area was kind of artist houses, basically, around the gallery. And massive paintings in there. It's pre-Raphaelite. You know, works, just massive paintings, huge and big frames, and I love that stuff. And there's a piece in there which struck me, which I've, you know, because I haven't seen many original artworks since being a student. I used to go to galleries a lot more, and and there was one called I think it was just like Lady in Pink Dress, I think it is, or I don't know. I'd have to look it up, and I don't even know which one of the pre-Raphaelites painted it, so it's terrible. And that's not necessarily if I could pick one else. I'm just trying to say something which I've seen, which I love. All right, you know what? I'm gonna go Picasso, The Frugal Meal, because that's one which I love and I've seen. Yeah, The Frugal Meal.
That's fair
that one.
enough.
I know the artist and the artwork, and I would want that. That is lovely.
Yeah.
So that's good.
I mean, I don't really know which artwork I would want, because I like the majority of his stuff anyway.
That's why I think me asking for The Frugal Meal was because Picasso's work goes through different stages, and as much as I appreciate it, to actually own one, The Frugal Meal would mean something to me because it's an ink drawing which he's done, and he's rendered it really well. He shows he understands anatomy and tone and how to create again like an environment between two people sat there to show that they are emaciated. And it's not something that you see in Picasso's paintings, because he's going for grander conceptual messages and political kind of meanings behind it. And as much as I admire that, I think I resonate more with the humble scratchings of someone studying, you know.
Yeah. I think my other option would be, like, if I couldn't have a Vincent van Gogh, it would be, have you been to Oriel Mostyn in Llandudno?
No.
She's a Welsh artist, or at least a Wales-based artist, Ruth Thomas. She's a screen printer, and she's also like a really big influence for the stuff that I do, and there's a series of screen prints that she did where after her mum had passed away, she had all of her journals, and she would take a section of a word that her mum had written, she blows it up into huge, like, massive scale, and then screen prints over it, and it's just like, I don't know, it really flows, and I just really like it. It's really beautiful.
I think I might have seen some of her work even if I haven't been there. I'm not sure. I mean, is she quite famous? Is she quite well known as well?
I don't know. I don't know, to be honest. The only reason I know about her work is because during my foundation diploma in college, we went to Oriel Moston, and I saw her work, and I was like, this is cool. And then I read like what it was about, and I was like, that's even cooler. And now I, relate to it to some extent.
Yeah, I might have seen work in a similar kind of thought process of, because I know that we've been shown work where people blow up different writing, and I might be conflating it with that work that I've seen, but it is really interesting to look at work like that. I never really know how to I never know how the artist actually commits to that concept, because to me that's the hard part, is even if I notice something I quite like, to identify that as a pathway to go down is what I find quite difficult.
I think I just find it difficult to generate ideas in general.
Yeah, it can be, can't it? It can be sort of questioning and doubting yourself.
Yeah. And, like, I don't know, I think part of the reason I struggle is because of my aphantasia as well. So I can't be like, oh, if I do this, what do I think it's going to look like? Because it's like, well, nothing. But yeah, that's going to be a challenge this year, I think, trying to
I don't know if you can think what it's going to look
ideas.
like. That's something else that I heard the tutor say. He was saying how he had no idea about some of the decisions he made in his paintings. I might actually be mixing up the meeting that I had. No, I think it was in the meeting that I watched today, that you had at uni.
Yeah.
And he was saying about he hasn't made that decision before it. He kind of made it in the process of painting and trying to discover what works. So it's sometimes doing things that you go, I don't know what's going to happen. If I add a beige to this dark area, it could look stupid or it could look amazing. I don't think an artist can necessarily project the finished piece. I think you just work towards an idea, which is really vague. But do you know what I mean? As far as like, if you've got an idea that I think this could be cool, it's like yourself, you've had this idea of having your, what are they called, fugglers?
Fugglers, yeah.
And that's the painting there behind you. It's an amazing process at the moment to see it half painted and half grid. Not painted yet.
You can only see a tiny portion of it on camera, so here you go.
Yeah, lovely. Yeah, it's interesting.
Quite sad though, because I can't keep on working on it while I'm doing uni work, but yeah.
Well, yeah, it's something which maybe uni work is going to bleed into it, because I don't know why that could be part of your uni studies. Have you shown John that you've done that? Because I think he would say, why can't it be part of your uni work? I mean, that's part of what he did say to you today, is like, why can't you be figurative? If you're not an abstract artist, why not push that forward, which is really encouraging, because you don't hear any encouragement for that otherwise. It's the first time we've been told that that's okay.
That's true. I am thinking of like dedicating every Sunday after work to painting that as like a little break from everything else. So I'm looking forward to that, because even though it's Tuesday, it's almost Sunday.
Where's that expression come from? I've not heard that before. It's Tuesday, it's almost Sunday.
Right now, from me, you heard it here first. It's only Tuesday, but it's almost Sunday.
That's a good expression. That's a bit of a thinker. That makes me think that people look forward to the weekend into Friday, and the end of the weekend is Sunday. Did you say it's only Tuesday? It's only Tuesday, but it's almost Sunday. Makes you think, like, kind of don't rush through to get to the weekend, because it'll be Sunday soon anyway. So each day.
Yeah, and I feel like the weeks go really fast anyway, because for those that don't know, I work weekends, and like I wake up on a Monday and I'm like, it's Monday, I have 5 days off, and then I blink and it's Friday and I'm like, how did I get here?
Yeah. Since last year, I think times, days, weeks and months, I lose track, and then I kind of look and panic and think you've just got to accept what date it is, you know, and what year it is. That's just the case, unfortunately. So
I mean, it's the end of September. How? Yesterday it was January. What's going on?
Yeah, it's terrible, because all you can see is what happens at the end of September is it just rolls into winter months. You've got October, November, December, rolls into January, and the weather will dictate how the year feels, a lot of it, you know. Just like, wow.
Yeah. Top tip for everyone watching though, always sign your artwork.
Yeah.
Always. I always forget, so I'm telling you to do it, because I'm
going to play the part of someone who doesn't know and ask you why. Why would you sign it?
Because as soon as you've signed it, your signature isn't going to match anyone else's. So anyone that has that work knows that it's yours because it has your signature on it. They can't steal it because it hasn't got their signature on it. It's got your signature on it. Therefore, it's yours. It's easier to steal someone's artwork if it hasn't been signed. So sign your artwork, because I don't and you should.
I don't, and I used to.
Learn from my mistakes.
Yeah, I do the same thing. I need to sign work that I've done, but I suppose signing it to me feels like this is the last thing I'm doing on this painting, and it's hard for me to do that.
Yeah.
Sometimes when even that painting there from first year, I don't know if you can't see it on your tilt you a little bit there. Even that painting there, that landscape that I did in first year, I haven't signed because part of me thinks I don't know if it's finished. I feel like I don't need to do anything else to it, but when I look at it, I know I could do more. But it's been such a long time. How much of a break between painting and not painting do you leave it? If I were to ask that friend of mine who's a professional painter, she picks things up after a year or two sometimes, and that's what masters used to do years ago. That's why Cézanne took a decade to do, I think it's called Large Bathers, I think he called it, I don't know. I love Cézanne as well. But that took apparently, I think it took 10 years to do. It was 10 years to do a painting. And when you look at it, you may say, how is that taking 10 years? But it's worth learning about that painting. That's another one which looks different than it looks after you learn about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I should probably sign that work and then hang it up, and that's it, done. Get it framed, I suppose.
Going back to the topic of original artworks, if you sign it, it's original.
Oh.
I linked it back. There you go. We were talking about it this whole time, and you just didn't know. Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, on that note, since you've come full circle, this has been an episode of Studio Buddies, doing a podcast with a little gay guitar. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.